It just feels like 2 minutes ago that the week started. I blink, it's a Friday once again, the 13th day of February 2026. And this is Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's 32 minutes past the 7 o'clock hour. And my name is Ayokunmi Kekireakon. Time to get into the world of what's going on in the papers, the big stories, the headlines. This is Freshly Pressed, where we always get to have a look at the biggest issues. We do a deep dive, we get analysis. We also get to take your thoughts and contributions, which means so much to us. So it is as much your platform as it is ours. Today is World Radio Day, so it's going to be a collective here. We enjoy what we do. You enjoy being with us as well. You make it worthwhile, and we thank you for always keeping it tuned and always staying locked to your love music, love life station. Let me let you know how you can join us. If you're a first timer on the show, you are most welcome. This is the exact place you need to be at 7:30 every single working day, Mondays through Fridays. So join us on WhatsApp. The number is 0911 999 0981 0911 999 YouTube, we're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Once again, this is Freshly Pressed, where there's a possibility that tables will be shaken or broken, depending on what exactly is in the news. All right, joining me for analysis this morning, two fine gentlemen, as they always do on a Friday. It's a tradition at this point. AB Bozimo and, of course, Joseph Obari are on the call. AB, good morning to you. Great to have you on the show once again.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Joseph. And good morning to all of the wonderful listeners whose pockets will hopefully be filled by the end of this news show.
Amen to that. Joseph, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Ebi. Good morning, listeners. We shall hold a bit to this promise because I want to benefit from it.
Oh, we all want to benefit. I mean, I could do with a lot more zeros added to my bank account at this point in time. And our first story has to do with quite a bit of zeros. Well, get your calculators out and start punching numbers in because it is number heavy and number rich. And if you're a math whiz, just do 2 plus 2 in your head. It's very easy for you, I would assume. All right, so we shall begin this morning talking about INEC. Yes, the punch is where we take the story from. It says the Independent National Electoral Commission on Thursday informed the National Assembly that it requires 873.78 billion naira to conduct the 2027 general elections. The agency also demanded 171 billion naira to fund its operations in the 2026 fiscal year. Now, the 873.70 billion naira proposed for the elections in 2027 represents a significant increase from the 313.4 billion naira released by the federal government for the conduct of the 2023 general elections. Math whizzes, please punch in your calculators and let us know what that difference actually is. So, looking at this particular a bit of news here, AB 878 point so 873.78 billion naira, and different line items have been put out there. But one of the things that actually jumped out at me, I don't know if it jumped out at you as well, is the amount that is earmarked for election technology. And other parts of this are very important, but that one actually jumped out at me. About 209.21 billion naira was earmarked for election technology compared to about 61 or thereabouts billion that was earmarked for 2023. I don't know if that says anything, but looking at INEC's demands now and looking at the back and forth that has been going on over the electoral act, which has been raging on, and INEC has been, bird box and kind of quiet concerning that. Hey, some big monies are at play here. What do we expect?
Yes, INEC was quiet because they were cooking up this budget, so they didn't have time to dabble in the area you people are. Number one, from the headline, INEC seeks nearly 1 trillion for 2027 elections. I can say right now that's a waste of money, especially if the trust deficit that follows our elections persists. And why is there a trust deficit? We've had this whole argument recently about real-time electronic transmission and all that. Even in countries where real-time electronic transmission goes on, it is understood that those results are what they call provisional. And the Electoral Commission is still going to be the one to announce. What I am asking for, let me not speak for people, is that when a vote is cast here, we want to remove the opportunity for the middleman to tamper with it. Nobody is saying that you can go and tally all your votes from the IREV, but you and I have seen those balkanized ECH sheets where the main tool of choice on those sheets was Tipex and Biro. Where somebody who had 2 votes, they would change it to 200. Then somebody who had 400 would change it to 4. And Tipex would be used recklessly. So what people are saying is that we're not even saying as we cast our votes, they should go. That ECH sheet should be, a picture of it should be taken, and that picture should be sent. That is enough technology for now in Nigeria. And I say that because each of us who uses WhatsApp knows that even today, there are sometimes you open your phone and you see a message is waiting to download. Somebody sent you a message, it hasn't got to you. But over the course of time, it will get to you. So when you give me this excuse that my village doesn't have network, that's fine. The collation centers in most urban areas have network. When the vote was cast, send it. Let it hang. By the time you move with your equipment to the center, it should upload. What people don't want.
AB, are you still with us? Looks like some network glitches are beginning to. It seems AB also needs some zeros to sort out the network issues.
It's technical issues.
Technical glitch. Oh dear. Well, Joseph, I think you can jump in on this matter now while AB is sorting out his network. Hopefully he'll be back with us soon enough.
Yeah, okay. So picking up from where we got interrupted, all we are saying is that this whole money, it's a lot of money. It will be only justifiable if INEC can do the right thing. Last election, they had over 300 billion naira to play with, and
Yes.
yet they could not deliver a credible election to the satisfaction of a majority of Nigerians, where situations where people actually saw mutilated result sheets. Some of the very strangest images were loaded onto IREV for people to see. And then when the results were eventually contested, they could not rely on anything credible, those opposing the results, to be able to fight it through in courts, just because things were not done properly by the commission. So I don't mind if the money can be justified and it can be used to do what is proper. Yeah, let's get the election done. Let's give them the money, because I know that the cost of things are very high. There's inflation. Almost every price has doubled or even tripled in most cases. So if INEC needs money and it's justifiable, let the National Assembly look at it and provide it for them to be able to do what is proper. Let them not have any excuse not to be able to deliver a credible election. Because if you now say, oh, well, it's because we don't have the money to procure the necessary technology that will support us, or maybe to mobilize people to be able to deliver the election. They're already talking about NYC writing to demand that core members should be paid better. As the chairman said, that has not even been calculated into the request they're making. So if the money is needed, yeah, maybe the letter just came and they've already done their budgeting and so on. So the request came and they have already done their calculations and budgeting. It's possible that the National Assembly may not give them all of the 873.7 billion they are asking for, because the others will be matched other needs of the country and so on. But my position is that let it not be that lack of fund is the reason why INEC is unable to deliver its mandate. I don't want to dwell on the failures of the past or the inadequacies of the previous election delivery, because we now have a new head of INEC, and he is promising that he's going to do something different. So we need to see that. Well, let's not be that his hands were tied and he wasn't able to deliver as he's promised to do.
Right. Thank you for that, Joseph. I mean, before we actually leave this particular story, because we can talk about this from now till goodness knows when. There was also talk about funding for so a proposal for an INEC dedicated hospital. I mean, what is all that about? Why does INEC need to have a specifically dedicated hospital? What for?
Well, they should be able to justify that. Maybe INEC dedicated hospital is for prompt attention of their staff, and so that they can have time enough to. I'm just being playing the devil's advocate here, to go have time to be able to go and attend to all the important work they have to do. But this, you see, this whole thing is coming because we've got really distortions in our systems. I mean, if you have a proper national hospital, for example, in Abuja, why should you have to have a separate hospital for an INEC? So you can now have a special hospital for and NAFDAC staff, have for EFCC hospital, and so on. I know some organizations have their hospital. For example, police, they have their police hospital in most cases, and so on. So while the important thing is, can it be justified? Can it be justified? And if the National Assembly looks at it and thinks that there's any sense in it, then of course we know this is a budget proposal anyway. That's the truth. And so it's going to pass through a committee of the National Assembly. They will scrutinize it, and they'll be able to see whether it is justifiable to give such a provision. And that's why I said that if they ask for a certain figure, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what is going to be given to them. Or sometimes it could be knocked off. In some cases, what is being budgeted can be increased. So it's a budgeting process. Let us see that happen without really, drawing any conclusion prematurely.
INEC, all we want are free, fair, and credible elections. Hospitals are plentiful in Nigeria. I don't know why you feel like you need to have one dedicated to yourselves, but just do what you are mandated to do. That's the important thing. And with these monies that you're asking for, I don't know if you'll be given every single penny that you've asked for, but 2027. Okay, we shall see. All right, let me take a few messages here before we get back into more of the stories. This is from Cisco Delgado, who says, Ayo, network glitches shouldn't be an excuse. I challenge the new INEC chairman, Professor Josh Amukweton, to do the right thing for history's sake, as it should be. Shola says, now, wow, if you had the opportunity to take from the national cake every 4 years, won't be, if you had the opportunity to take from the national cake every 4 years, wouldn't an increase be your portion? I guess is what we are trying to say. They even want INEC Hospital in Abuja. Indeed. Indeed, Shola. Sunday from Surulere says, rather than wasting such funds on supporting an already inefficient electoral process, the funds should be channeled towards making the process more efficient and transparent and credible. Yeah, is smelling, according to Sunday. Smells fishy, you say? Well, only time actually will tell, because Nigerians are keeping their eyes on the ball a whole lot more now. All right, Joseph, let's step into the vanguard and talk about this issue concerning the ban over sachet alcohol. This particular issue has been raging back and forth. I had a conversation on Legal Talks about this sometime last week. Well, members of Food, Beverage, and Tobacco Senior Staff Association, that's FOBTOB, very interesting acronym there. They yesterday staged a protest outside the Lagos office of the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, demanding the suspension of sachet alcohol ban. Now, the protesting workers, largely from distiller companies affected by the ban, demanded the immediate release of products allegedly held by NAFDAC and the reopening of factories and depots sealed during recent enforcement operations. This issue about the ban on sachet alcohol, Joseph, it's one that hasn't gone away by any stretch of the imagination. Different schools of thought. Some are arguing that yes, it should be banned. Some are saying that banning doesn't always solve the problem. I don't know where your thoughts are on this one, but I'd love to get your perspective looking at what's going on right now.
Yeah, what NAFDAC is doing is within its mandate, and if they feel, and there's been real concern that there is substance abuse among our young people, And so when a young person can simply buy a sachet, it's just a sachet, he could just pick it up and rip it open and drink. Then it makes it easy. Accessibility is enhanced that way. In some parts of, in fact, I was with a friend. We went for a convention to the US, and that was in Hawaii. And we went to a bar with his wife, myself, and other friends to go and drink. He's a younger person than me. And when he asked for alcohol, the attendant asked for his ID card, for his passport, because she felt he was too young, and she wasn't sure he was 18.
Mm.
The young man felt really thoroughly insulted, because of course somebody who was almost like 30, and then he protested, and it really politely said, sorry, I'm just simply following the law. It's the law of
Mm.
the state of Hawaii. Please, let me see your identity. My friend was forced to produce his ID card, his passport, to
Right.
present it to the lady before he could buy a drink. So accessibility is made easier when it is presented in the manner in which I know that this sacheting of products is where companies are trying to survive the rising inflation and cost that it is making people not to patronize their product, because everything now is sachet. You have peak milk, you have this, you have everything that has been reduced into sachet, so that it's a microeconomy for people to just be able to buy at a lower unit of cost. But when it comes to something like alcohol, there it should be real concern, and the regulation should be very strict and clear. So if I sorry, NAFDAC is enforcing what they feel is a mandate of theirs, there should be
Okay.
no reason why they should be stopped from doing what they should do. The truth is that the manufacturers are fighting back. That's simply the truth, and they are using every method possible. Now, they claim that they were acting against the instruction of the Office of the Secretary to the Federation and the National Security Advisor or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not there. The simple truth is that those offices cannot just tell NAFDAC not to be able to enforce its mandate. Now, but what has been said that in fact, the Office of the Secretary to the Federal Government has come out to deny that they issued any directive as such. There was a letter that was written in December that was miscommunicated, whatever that means. It means, what my interpretation is that this powerful body of manufacturers have been able to infiltrate the system, get a copy of that letter that was written that was not delivered to NAFDAC, and use it
Okay.
for a propaganda against NAFDAC. And it's unfair to shackle an enforcement agency such as NAFDAC and prevent them from doing their duties. The well-being of our children should rise above every other thing. There are other ways in which they can produce their drinks. They should invest in that
All
and be
right.
able to do it properly. That
Mm.
even became proliferated for people to be doing these sachet drinks and so on without the involvement of NAFDAC shouldn't have happened in the first place. Because
Very
before they
correct.
get to the point where they will begin to break down a quantity of alcohol that will be bottled or packaged in that manner, I would have expected that NAFDAC should have been involved in that process of approval. And if there was no approval and it's happening, then of course they have got every right to enforce compliance. So we always like to be sentimental in Nigeria. We play to the gallery. People will just, oh, you're talking about employment. People will be kicked out of jobs. Were then
Okay.
these
Okay.
workers not working before? Is there something that we don't understand here? So they should be allowed to do their work. The Office of the Secretary of the Federal Government has said they are waiting for a response from NAFDAC. There's a particular law, the Ministry of Health is packaging that is supposed to address some of these things so that they can weigh in properly on this. Let the process be allowed to go through, and then we know if the manufacturers have got any input to make, they can make input through that legislation and be part and make their voice heard in it. But trying to shackle an enforcement agencies as NAFDAC, I don't think it's right.
Sorry,
So
I
Ibi,
had
welcome back in.
some technical snafu. I don't know.
Technical
Just on
glitches.
this issue of NAFDAC, I want to say we are creating a serious health time bomb. As a child, I had no access to alcohol, but now, from 13 years and plus, people are able to, get these little things, slide them in. And so by the time somebody reaches about 33, only God knows what has happened to the present system. You can imagine 33, 35, 40-year-old people with livers that used to once upon a time be in the premise of 70-year-old people. We're going to have a serious health challenge going down the line. And just to run what I was saying before the technical hitch that I experienced, what would 1 billion naira do in your local government?
Still having this challenge. So it's so
I'm
bad.
seeing you guys. What would 1 billion naira do in your local government rather than giving it to INEC?
1 trillion actually, AB. You're missing some zeros.
No. But when you divide the so and so trillion into 774, is that not 1 billion per local government on average? So 1 billion per local government would be very useful for most of us, even if it came to improving the technology in your local government. I think that would be a much better way to use the money. But enough said about that.
Enough said about that. All right, Ibi. Let us step into where we're going to. Let's step into the punch once again and talk about the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. The federal government on Thursday raised concerns over a disturbing surge in vandalism of critical public infrastructure parts, on that corridor and on major bridges in Lagos. Now, it warned that the trend threatened the durability of newly constructed roads and bridges nationwide. So the rains that happened during the week, the government attributed the flooding along the coastal highway to the blocked drainage channels caused by improper waste disposal. You can see how things have a domino effect across board. And here we are once again.
Let's be clear. We, the people, have to be much more responsible when it comes to how we dispose of waste. Governments, on their part, especially and primarily local government, has to provide receptacles and has to provide the logistics backup to empty those receptacles. But that said, there is nothing more abhorrent and disgusting than the sight of a vehicle maybe in front of you where someone just winds down a window and throws out something. I think such people should have their 4 tires shredded. It is very, very irresponsible. Bottom line, they said that flooding happened because of block drainage. There has to be an element in engineering. There's always an element of redundancy, or there's extra capacity built in. I think there might be some engineering flaws because flooding, in as much as those drains should take it, are you trying to contain the Atlantic Ocean? Because I saw some videos that were allegedly of that flooding, and what I saw was not looking like just block drainage. It was looking like the level of the road and the level of the Atlantic were not properly separated. That's what it looked like to me, but I was not there present to assess that. I'm saying this project seems to have a lot of question marks to it, and even this part, while I accept that we, the people, have to be more responsible in how we dispose of waste, the government at the state and local government levels has to provide the means by which waste must be disposed. Don't forget, waste is a product of development. Human beings generate waste as part of life. So it's a responsibility of the collective, and the collective is run by the government. So you can point fingers at us, and yes, we must take responsibility, but you too must provide the means so that if anybody throws something out, you can stop that person using your CCTV cameras and impound their car for like 1 year for throwing out a gala wrapper. That will, because that's what they call consequence.
A whole year.
If you throw out a gala wrapper, your car is impounded for yes. I may be exaggerating, but the point is, when the consequences outweigh the crime, trust me, you will keep that your gala wrapper in your pocket till you get to a proper place to dispose of it. In Singapore, if you chew gum, you pay $1,000. If you drop a cigarette butt on the ground, you pay $1,000. Trust me, the place is pristine. We know what Japan Japanese people do anytime they go for a World Cup. Where they're sitting, when they finish, they clean the place up. So culturally, we are lacking in terms of sanitation. Let me just say it. We, the people, are lacking culturally. However, during NSAS, we showed that we have the capacity because there, those people at the toll gate provided sanitation, healthcare, legal services, and everything. So it's not inherently absent from us. We just need an organized system to do it.
I agree with you fully on that one, AB. All right, let's very quickly talk about Nasser El-Rufai here because time isn't on our side, and I want to take all the messages, and I'll bring both of you in on this particular one. Drama is never too far away from the Nigerian people. The Guardian is what we're stepping into now. Former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasser El-Rufai has spoken up following an alleged attempt by security operatives to arrest him at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja on Thursday. Now, he spoke after a video showing him confronting security personnel at the airport went viral on social media, sparking widespread reactions. And in a brief post on X, the former governor said that his legal team had already responded to the incidents. Like 1 week, one trouble in this Nigeria. Although I will say that El-Rufai has been very, very, should I say, active in speaking recently. And he did allude to something like this very, very recently as well. So I don't know if that had anything to do with that, but I'm sure that you can give us a little bit of context. Maybe I'll take your thoughts quickly, then and Joseph will weigh in as well.
In summary, he was coming back from a trip outside the country, and at the airport, authorities attempted to arrest him. They had contacted him in absentia. He had promised them that on Monday, February the 16th, he would come there. But they went there, in my view, to create something of a scene and took his passport. I think the fact that he came back alone is sufficient for them, and he communicated with them that he will see them on Monday, this coming Monday, should have been enough for them to just, okay, we acknowledge your arrival, we expect you. There's a lot of drama that goes on, in my view, that is highly unnecessary. This is an example of that kind of unnecessary drama. And, if you want to call somebody central to news cycles, it just gives the person, in this case, El-Rufai, an opportunity to be central to news cycles that you don't need. You are the authorities. You have said he should see you. He has said he will see you. Why the need to go and scuffle with him, seize his passport and all that? I thought that those were completely unnecessary. But, we'll see how this unfolds. At the end of the day, overbearing actions by the security forces don't help whatever cause they may be actually going, trying to achieve. That's my summary opinion about that.
Joseph, I know you have a
Yeah,
thought or two
the
to
sad
add
thing
to this.
about the sad thing about such approach is that it now reinforces the belief that this is politically being motivated rather than simply you're doing a law enforcement and that somebody has got questions to answer. If he really didn't want to come into the country, he would have stayed back. That's the simple logic of it. So if he was evading law enforcement, he will still not come back to the country. I'm sure El-Rufai has got the resources to want to hide anywhere if he wants to. But he chose to come back to the country, and that in itself should indicate that he has nothing he's afraid of. So trying to kidnap him, adopt him, or whatever, Gestapo style and show some drama in the airport was totally unnecessary and uncivilized. At the end of the day, you didn't arrest him anyway, and then you just created a scene and unnecessary drama. It's unwise. So if you act in this, for instance, you seize his passport without really going through the courts and so on, you're making your case worse because he can actually start another legal battle with you there.
Right.
And so that just complicates things for you, who is you're supposed to prosecute somebody person. So sometimes I think they are overzealous. They want to show that they are actually doing something or whatever. It's ill-advised, and I think it was unnecessary.
And
All
just
right.
one thing, they said that at that airport, it was ordinary citizens who kind of
who blocked
prevented
it?
the
Yes.
authority. So listen, we're sitting on a powder keg. If we don't understand, there will come a time when that is almost anarchic behavior. By the time citizens say no to the authorities, that is not the environment you want to foster. Believe me.
All right, let me run through the messages as quickly as I can. Tony Nikeja, morning to you, says INEC is demanding for close to ₦1 trillion to conduct manual election in a digital era. For a fact, they'll get it because that suits their paymasters' agenda. Let the opposition boycott the 2027 presidential election if they fail to approve the real-time transmission of results. I mean, I will say that they've budgeted, quite a bit of that money for tech and digital
Technology.
and improvement. So let us see what exactly those technologies and the improvements are actually going to be if those funds are released to them eventually. Ajay Oloniloa in Magodo Jerry Sherry says, good morning to you, Ajay. It's not surprising that there's such a huge difference between the amount spent in 2023 and the proposal for the 2027 elections, given the massive devaluation the Naira has suffered since the advent of the current government. The sad aspect is that despite this colossal budget, the election will still be business as usual. I hope it's business unusual, at least for once. Let it be business unusual, not as usual. Really. Sheon says, good morning, Joseph, Ibi, and Ayo. Good morning to you, Sheon. INEC requesting for a hospital. Everyone should use the primary health care center closest to them. Let's all enjoy the poorly funded facilities. Hey, let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Jerry says, good morning, everyone. Let's think it out well on this ban. At least the drinks are well refined, but a ban on this will cause our people to recourse to the local baraga that's very harmful to their organs. So if that is an argument, then I think NAFDAC and everybody involved is not doing their work. If that is something, if that too is on the table, because that also should be regulated and be clamped down on as well if we're being serious about solving the issues. Really and truly. Tony Marimbich says, this is the problem we have in this country. When the system favors some persons, they don't care how it affects others. They just want the status quo maintained. These people can protest for eternity if they like. It doesn't make them right. So many lives have been wasted and so many avoidable accidents with lives lost. NAFDAC must not budge on this one. Those manufacturers should give the alcohol to their children. Tony, calm down, calm down. JP says, morning smooth. The fiscal rascality at the center and states will be our greatest undoing. Will be or currently is. Which of the two? Joseph Mania in Silver State says, what actually is INEC's agenda for Nigeria's almost 1 trillion naira for elections? They even have the audacity claims of wanting to have their own hospital. It would amaze you that that budget proposal has a lot of outrageous repetitive items and padding to the extent that they deserve a special hospital. Why not hotel for them to relax after the elections? Don't give them ideas, Joseph. Don't put ideas in their head. Let's not do that. Emeka Onelum says, I'm happy for the enforcement of the sachet alcohol ban. I know people battling alcohol addiction because of the ease of accessibility. We also need sanity on our streets and limit accessibility to street thugs, bus conductors, and, why did you call Chelsea fans? Emeka, why? What did Chelsea fans do to you? We'll meet in the locker room. Don't worry. We'll meet in the locker room. Digi says, what is Vasepa doing about the trash in Smedi, Lagos currently? I believe the Lagos State government is actually dirty and is in no position to control waste disposal. I actually disagree. It has been done before. It has been done before.
The problem is with the people. Let's face it. We are just not decent people in the way we behave. Honestly, it's not, when it comes to waste management, we are not there. We're not helping government. We're not helping ourselves.
What is different between past administrations and right now? The fact that it has been done before shows that there's a lot of unseriousness on both the parts of the government and the people as well. It's a collective effort, really. But it's not impossible to have a clean...
If I eat a gala and I have the wrapper, where do I drop it? On average, right now, in any city in Nigeria.
Yes, commonsensically.
Personally, I keep things inside my vehicle. I have a trash bag that I now dispose of later. But we don't have the necessary trash receptacles. You should have trash receptacles. That's the responsibility of local governments. And even when you have them, you have to empty them. You don't have them and then have them overflowing. Okay, enough.
All right, then Digi says on El Rufai, when new action movies are in the cinemas, that is when our security agencies overdo it. Maybe the influence of the streaming platforms. All right. This is from Liko in Lagos, who says, when you build your government on lies, eye service, and propaganda, you can't prosper. It's like putting an agri in the vault of a central bank. It will loot to the ground. They can never be accountable to you. And you ask, can can king of corruption fight corruption? Look at all those who surround the president, ministers, senators, and so on and so forth. As they say, birds of a feather, they flock together. That's as much as I can take on the message. And that's as much as we can take on the show this morning. Quite an interesting edition of Freshly Pressed on a Friday. What a way to wrap up the week. Thank you for the messages. Thank you for being a part of the show, as always. Thank you, AB, and thank you, Joseph, for joining me to enrich the morning a whole lot more. AB.
Friday the 13th. This is always an interesting day with horror stories like INEC taking nearly $1 trillion. That's a horror story in itself. No wonder it came out on Friday the 13th. Guys, let's go ahead. As far as I'm concerned, that money is already a waste, because if we can't trust the elections, let's not waste that money. Let's just do what we always do at a cheaper price.
All right, Joseph.
All right, it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's been meaningful conversation, and it's always enriching to be here every Friday to do this. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend. Ayo, thanks again, Evi. Your political enemies try to gag you, but you overcame them. At least I wish everybody a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.
All right.
When I
You
talked
take care.
about INEC, they gave me a glitch. See it? I talked about INEC, I got a glitch. There you go.
All right, gentlemen, have a great weekend. Thank you all once again. All right, this is Smooth 98.1. Keep it tuned. 8:15, it's a walk into the world of sports in the locker room. My name is